Okay, so today I've got this little box that I want to keep my elastic stuff in, but it's boring. And so I got this contact paper, which I just think is really nice. So the first thing we got to do is we have to do some maths. So I went ahead and I measured this all out, and each side is 1 5/8, and then the bottom is 4 3/8. And so what I want to do is I want to wrap this side, this side, this side, this side, and then also the inside and this side. So that means I need this side twice, and then this side twice. And we might end up a little bit bigger because of the joints, but bigger can be cut away, smaller can't. So we're gonna go ahead and I've got all these numbers written down. I'm just gonna go add them all up. So I got 1 5/8, 1 5/8, 1 5/8, 1 5/8, 4 3/8, and 4 3/8. Well, 4 3/8 and 1 5/8, that's going to be 2, that equals 6. I've got 2 of those, so that's 12, and then 1 5/8 and 1 5/8, that's going to be 10 over 8, so it leaves an 8, 2 over 8, 3 2/8, or 2 1/4. So I need 6, 12, 14 1/4 inches. 3/8 and 3/8 is 5/8. That makes a 1, making that 5, grabbing that 6. I'm just checking my math because you always want to do that. Once you cut it, you can't uncut it. So what I need is 14 inches, 14 1/4 inches. And it might help if I have the distance. And that's 6 1/2 inches. So first I'm going to check. Going this way, I'm not going to get that 14 1/2. So we're going to come up this way so that I can do this in as few cuts as possible. And I have my 6 1/2. I'm just lining that up on both sides to make sure that we're good. And I need my rotary cutter, not my fabric one. I literally just had that in my hand. Here it is. I just had it in my hand. Now this rotary cutter I got from the Dollar Tree, and it cost me a whole $1.25 at the time. It has something caught on it. There we go. That whatever was caught on it was making it roll in a divot, and I don't want that. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to cut our 6 1/2 line. This is a cheap rotary cutter, and you can tell. It doesn't roll very smoothly at all, but it does cut once you get it to work. There we go. I'm gonna save that piece for later. And then the other side we needed, so that was our 6 1/2. We need a 14 1/4. So, for me, it's easier to cut along this bottom side because that's where I am. I'm gonna put my squared corner in the square here, and I am looking for 14 1/4. I'm using a Fiskars cutting mat. It has a grid on it, which makes lining things up super easy. This mat is double-sided. A lot of their mats are. Does not want to cut this piece today. It's this rotary wheel. You wouldn't have this trouble if you had a nice sharp blade. And it's always recommended to use a sharp blade, but we do what we can. So here's our piece that is now 14 1/4 by 16 1/2. And what I want to do is I want to I guess start. See, that's not going to go quite in there. So we're going to start from a side. And I'm not going to peel it all. I'm just going to peel the very edge. And I'm going to line my edge up with my ruler on my mat so that I don't have an even one. I'm taking my box. Just going to go ahead and hopefully move my hand out of the way if it wants to cooperate. Sometimes it doesn't. It has a mind of its own. It just does its own thing. Come over here. I want to get that as close to being what I want as possible. And actually, I'm thinking about this, and I want to have a little bit of an overhang. I don't want that edge to be right there. So I'm going to come probably about 1 inch in off of this. I'm just making sure we're at the same level on both sides. And I need to peel this piece. There we go. Peel this piece. And then I'm just pressing. I'm going to peel some more of this. And we're just going to... I'm still holding pressure down here in this corner section because I don't want the paper to move. And it moved because it loves me. Okay, so because I'm having that kind of an issue, we'll do what I always do. We'll just weight it. Got my trusty rusty zip tie gun. It can come in a pinch. And we will do it this way. And we're just going to keep that nice and tight. And I'm not going straight, and that bothers me. It could be very well if this box isn't straight, but we'll have to... do the best we can, I guess. It's just a... doesn't have to be perfect. It's not something that I'm trying to sell to anybody or anything like that. This is just for my own use. Sometimes you can be your own worst critic. And just before I really press this to seal it, I'm just trying to line it the way I want it. More on the edge there. And that's giving me a bubble, which I don't want. Okay, so I guess this is what it wants to do. So we'll let it do what it wants. Then we'll trim it. And then this is the part where we're coming into an issue because now it's not long enough. So what I'm going to do, it's too wide here. I'm just going to go through with my cutter and try to trim some of that off. And I'm lining it up on my board so I know where to start with my cutter on this side, because I can't trim around a curve with the cutter, right? But what I can do is line this cutter up with the board. Make sure that's nice and even. So annoying. This is gonna be one of those things that are gonna make me wanna grab my fabric rotary cutter or go looking for another blade. Rather than do any of that, let's just bring out a craft knife. I don't like using these because I'm the best at losing things. And who needs to lose all these sharp blades all over the place? In fact, let me dump all the blades out so I can get the handle out without slicing myself open. Go. It's so brand new that like it's stiff. I'm actually going to take the whole collar off of it so that I can get it in. If anybody hears, I'm using a number 3 blade right now. Just going to slide that collar back up again. Put that back in here. Get a nice tight connection. Clean up all these extra blades. I had a friend come by yesterday and I showed her this paper that I bought. And she's like, I saw that same paper and I got it too. I don't know what I'm going to use it for yet, but I got it. So maybe it's something about this paper that just kind of catches the eye. There we go. Turn this around. Yeah. And I'm just gonna cut that across so that I don't have that hanging piece. I'm trying to smooth it on because I have a bubble. I think. So Ninja Transfers makes this really cool blade. It's soft on one side and it's firm on the other, but I don't have to worry about ruining whatever I want, but I can also get everything on there. And this blade came free. I don't know if it's really called a blade, whatever. I'm calling it a blade. But it came free with my purchase from Ninja Transfers. When I was doing t-shirts for our cruise that we went on. All this extra paper, we're just gonna go ahead and clip that away. It's making it hard for me to see what I'm trying to do on the inside of this box. And so now that we have that all clipped away, I'm gonna fold that over. And we are still The idea here is to cut the paper, not my finger. I keep telling myself that because, you know, I'm dangerous with a sharp object. There we go. I'm going to come over to this other side. And I'm just using the side of the board as my spot for my knife to go down. And then I can put that in there like that. So far it's looking pretty nice, I think. Okay, so we're going to continue on with our next fold. And this is going to be another one that's going into the thing, but we do have that top edge. So I'm just going to fold it all the way over. Give it a good press in on that edge. Beautiful. And then I don't want to take off too much paper right now, too much of the contact paper, because that's my guidance paper. And I want to be able to mess up if I need to. But we're going to just kind of push that in there. I'm trying to get real into that corner. Nice tight corner seams there. This is what we're looking like so far. Get that corner piece in there. And what I did was I took this and I just stuck this into the corner and gave it a nice good pressing. Right now I've got this ew that I don't like. It's because it's too... Probably should have cut for the allowance of those edges, which I didn't do. And even though I did my maths right, somehow it's because I didn't account for those, you know, this 1/8 of an inch here and an 1/8 of an inch there. I came up a little bit short. But that's okay, because we can fix that. And I'm just going to take my knife and I'm going to run it around that corner because I don't like the fold. Trying to do it where you can see it. Come around this corner here. And I'm going to peel that back up again. That side looks good, that side looks good. Now, since I took away all of that, let's go ahead and take away its corresponding piece on the top. Okay, and so, you know, I kind of like it the way it is. And it doesn't have anything. I do want to put another strip on the inside here just because I don't like that part of it. But I'm not so certain yet that I want to put something here and something here because I could label that. Remember, I had this piece left over, so I'm going to go with that. To make this super easy, I'm just bringing it in here and giving it a bend where it needs to go. I'm going to use my card here to get right up into that corner. Get a little crease, and then that gives me my cutting spot. I don't know about you, I just do a lot better cutting when I have a ruler or I have a guideline. Like, so when I'm cutting against the box, no problem. But even with a crease, I can't do that. That's beyond my capabilities. I'm the person who can't draw a straight line with a ruler. And there's no shame in that. At least I keep telling myself that anyways. And I need to come down like this. How did it end up shorter? I'm going to come down like this, and I'm going to give it a crease on the inside. So I just put that in there. I'm gonna and I'm kind of okay with the overlapping of the design here, because there's no way I'm going to be able to match that design up perfectly. So why try? Just keep it the way it is. And it's the bottom of the box. It's not like people are going to come in and look, oh my gosh, look, your bottom of your box looks horrible. And if they're all up in the bottom of my box, that means they're all up in my business and they need to go somewhere else anyways. So not all that concerned. I'm just going to try to get my seam back into where I had it. Okay, so something you may want to be aware of when using this paper is it sticks to itself quite easily. Ooh, I ruined it a little bit. That's okay though, because it's coming back. I need to take this whole thing out. I'm going to come at it this way instead, so that I can make sure I'm getting that smooth. Sometimes if a project's not working in whatever position you're holding it in, try changing it. I got a little bit of a bubble that I'm trying to work out here. What do you think? Now the question becomes, do I want to do those sides? And to be honest with you, I think the answer is going to be yes. I do want to do them. I'm going to give myself a little bit of a flap that I can wrap over, because that's important. Okay, and then just using this as my cutout. This knife is sharp. It's like, here, let me cut the wood too. And I'm like, you don't have to be all that sharp. It's like, oh, I cut the wood, but I didn't cut the paper. I didn't cut what you wanted me to cut. There we go. And then there's this little hole in here. Oh, let's see how we do with that. And here's the deal. If we don't do a very good job on the hole, then we might not just do this section. That's really hard to cut while it's inside the thingamabobber. The thingamabobber being the box. I use a lot of words that make sense to me at the time, but you might not know what I'm talking about. And that's okay. Make up your own words. Sometimes it makes you feel better. Sometimes it doesn't. But I do notice that, like, I don't want to say it's the older I get, but the more I have on my mind, the harder it can be to come up with the exact words that I want to say sometimes. And that is frustrating. That is so frustrating to me. It's like, why do these things have to be so difficult? It's not a bad cut. Okay. I'm just folding down my side here so I know where I want it to go when it comes through. In fact, I might even use my smooth increasing tool. Okay. I'm just folding that more pronounced on the line so that when I take off this backing, it's going to want to lay the way I want it to. Now, I got this at the Not a Dollar Tree, and you might know it as the Dollar Tree. I've started calling it the Not a Dollar Tree because I can't find anything in that store that costs $1. So to call it a Dollar Tree just seems weird to me. I think they need to remarket, rechange, give it a new name. But I found things for $0.25. I found things for 50 cents. And I found things for, $1. $1.25. And even the $1.25 items are hard to find now. A lot of them are now $1.50. And I was at the store one day, and they had items there that were like $10. Who's going to the Dollar Tree to spend $10 on an item? I want to be able to go to the Dollar Tree and know that everything that I'm buying is the same price like it has been. Because then I don't have to worry about what exactly it is that I'm getting. I can just get what I want. It makes it so much easier for everybody. Everybody, I tell you. Okay, so this one. I'm going to try this other side now. I kind of really like the way that first handle came out. I'm hoping I can reproduce these results. Pro tip: when you're cutting with a knife, use the sharp side. Follow me for more life hacks. That's a joke in case you didn't get it. Of course you use the sharp side. The reason I said that was I just accidentally, or maybe not so accidentally, but I totally just try to cut this with the dull side of the knife. And that is not going to work. Doesn't matter how good I think I am with this knife, that's not going to work. Okay, so I got that, and I'm leaving a little bit so that I can have that edge over. And that's the part that we forgot to account for to begin with. And I say we because the way it works in the world is if you made a mistake, it's everybody's fault. But if you did it yourself, you get all the success. Look at sports. I'm not a sports fan, but I do know that, let's see here. Let me think of a team. Okay, so I grew up in Massachusetts, so you have the Patriots, right? And the Patriots, if they win a game, oh my gosh, the coach is amazing. The players did so well, da-da-da-da-da. But if they lose a game, that's all on the coach, the person who's not actually on the field playing. It doesn't matter that the coach gave a play, the play wasn't executed properly by the team. That's just funny to me. Everybody should participate in wins and losses and not just be like, oh, I won, so I get the credit this time. So I got my outline, and now I'm just going back through to actually make it through that lining, because I need to see the hole when I'm putting this on. Now, I make everything. If it can be made and I have the ability to do it, I want to try it. I don't see the need to have a million people do things for me. Does that mean that I don't buy things from other people? Not at all. It just means that I like learning skills. And sometimes when you learn a skill, it can make for a better repertoire of your own. I did this incorrectly. That's okay. It will still work. Have I ever done this, what I'm doing right now, before? No. I'm making it up as I go along. That's what crafting is. Like, a lot of people think that things have to be perfect. Why do they have to be perfect? What matters is whether or not the person who creates it likes it. And so I was taking pottery classes, and I was on the pottery wheel, and if you've ever done a pottery wheel, or if you've seen the movie Ghost, or if you've seen something where they show somebody doing a pottery wheel and they're getting their piece up and it's coming up and it's looking perfect, and then all of a sudden it just crumbles down on itself. That's a real thing. It has to do with too much pressure being applied, maybe trying to widen it too much at one time. But when that happens, how you react really matters. So, like, when it happened to me in one of my classes, my teacher was like, oh, well, that's no big deal. We'll just take it apart and we'll put it back on again. And I was like, but I like it. And he was like, well, what do you mean you like it? And I was like, well, I kind of like it. I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. And because I'm not perfect, why can't my art reflect that? It's my art. And he said, well, I mean, if that's what you want to do. And I said, yeah, I kind of like this collapsed cup. And if nothing else, it will be a reminder to me that just because something came out in a different perspective than what I wanted doesn't mean it can't still be functional, and it doesn't mean that it's not good. What I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of cutting along so that I need to get these inside pieces. There's no way I'm going to be able to live with having the outside pieces done but not the inside pieces. And I'm doing very small cuts because it's hard for me to get in there to measure. Yes, there are tools that would allow me to get in there to measure. Yes, I have those tools. But when I'm crafting, I don't like going around looking for stuff. This is not what I brought to my crafting table to work with today, and so I'm not going to go looking for it. If I do this again, I'll know what I need to make it more successful. Okay, so what I'm checking for first is I want to make sure that's going to fit in. And it's fitting in beautifully. And over here, I still have a little bit of a lump. And what happened here is that when that paper applied, I'm ready to peel it without it. When I applied that paper, I didn't get the whole side down before I came up to the side edge, to the middle. But that'll be okay. You won't even be able to tell. I can put that in like that. And I still need to do the slip right here. So I'm gonna put this in like so. That's fitting. I want to cut it this way, the way that it's going in, because let's say that there is my center is slightly off or something to that effect. I don't want my circle to be wrong. So I pulled it out. I've got it where it's going to be able to enter back in again. I'm lining up my bottom. And I'm leaving just a little bit of a flap over the bottom because having the ability to wrap it back there is going to be better than just making it rely on that piece coming up off the top. We're going to cut my circle. This is our third time doing this. And the funny thing about this is that I have, from the previous cut from the outside, there is some material that got left over in that hole because it didn't line up 100%, which is fine. But as I go through here now, I'm going to be cutting that out. Unintentionally even. It just happens to be that it's in my way, so I've got to get rid of it. So now this is not a live recording. I mean, it's live for me. It's not playing. It's not going to be playing live by the time people see it. That's intentional. I have got to figure out a way where, like right now, I'm deep down into this with a knife. I want to be able to talk to people when they're talking to me on a live recording, but I don't have the time to keep looking up to see if somebody wrote something. And if they did write something, should I be concerned about what they, does it require a response right at that moment? Just all of these different things that come into play. And I don't want people to feel left out. I wouldn't want to be felt left out. I hate, I'm trying to interact with somebody and then, they can't be bothered with me. And it's not that I don't want to be bothered with people. Leave me a message. Send me a DM. Blow me up. Leave a comment. When you do that, that gives me the opportunity to come back afterwards and then I can reply. Ooh, look at that. It's fitting in just the way I wanted it to. Okay. Or did I do that the wrong way? Maybe it was meant to go this way. Yes, that's the way I want that. And I'm pushing it in. And this time, we're learning from our mistake from the last time. We're going to groove it before we remove the backing. And I'm sure there's probably some easier way to get this done. Everybody thinks differently. That's the coolest part of being human. We all have our own ways of thinking about things and how to do them. And my way is the only way that's right, though. That's not true. Okay, I just throwing that in there. But we all have our own ways of doing things. And something that seems like a good idea to me might not seem like a good idea to somebody else. And if that's the case, there's nothing wrong with that. It just means that people do things differently. I have nerve damage in my hands. And so sometimes I do stuff where people are like, why on earth is she doing it that way? Wouldn't it be much easier if she just gripped it? Maybe. For you. It might not be easy for me at that moment, although it might be easy on another day for me to do it that way. At that moment, it might not be an option because of my nerve damage, which flares up and doesn't flare up. It's from a stab injury. I have psycho neighbors. I had a psycho neighbor. I still have some psycho neighbors. And yeah. I think that if you're renting a house to somebody or renting a building to somebody and that person is causing problems to the other people in the community, you know, like stabbing them. Or how about, I've got a neighbor who stole my car. If your neighbors, if your house is being rented and your people are causing problems, I think the landlord has a duty to not renew that lease. And you know what that would mean? When people are like, oh, what do you mean you're not going to renew my lease? Well, learn to act appropriately. You know? Stealing your neighbor's car, not cool. It's not cool. Stabbing your neighbor, not cool. Yeah, how's that look? So we got one more to go. And I still got just enough of that cut. I'm going to want to cut a little bit more on this side for the fit through. But that's just because I need that extra space to wrap it around here. This knife is doing really good. This knife I actually got from the Dollar Tree. And I want to say that this was actually $1.25. Or at least it was at the time that I bought it, because that was the time when the Dollar Tree had just switched to everything being $1.25. So it was $1.25 then. I bought several of them because the blades, it's a razor blade. When you use razor blades constantly, they lose their ability to do much for you, you know? Okay, so I have that. And now, what I'm going to do is I want my overlay. So I'm going to cement that in first. Later, I'm going to be sewing some trash bags for your vehicle on TikTok. Be live on TikTok doing that. And the purpose of these trash bags is so that you can have a spot to throw out your trash. But I'm on this kick where I have been trying to upcycle things. And one of my favorite things to upcycle currently are dog food bags. Dog food, cat food, horse food, whatever, feed bags. And I make the cutest things out of them. Yesterday I made a hat. Can I say that anybody's ever going to want to wear a hat that was made out of a feed bag and has puppy dogs on it? I don't know. Maybe if I line it properly. Maybe it's just a matter of finding the right person who is interested in that kind of a thing. You never know. But when you're learning to do things, this is what I'm doing right now. Like, this is my first time doing this. This box cost me $1.25. The paper cost me $1.50. So I've got $2.75 in materials into this project. It's a project for myself. I just want something decorative. And it doesn't even really have to be decorative. I want something that stands out when I'm looking for it. So when I'm looking for my elastics that I need for sewing, I want to be able to easily find it, you know? And sometimes my other half will be in here and wants to help me. And I can say to him, you know, I'm looking for that blue swirly pink thing with gold in it that you're probably surprised that I bought because it had pink in it. But y'all, the colors in this, I don't like pink. I am not a pink fan. Something traumatic happened to me as a kid in a dream. I don't know much about what happened. I just know that I woke up from a good sleep. It must have been a good sleep because I was dreaming, right? And who dreams in a bad sleep, right? So and when I say a good sleep, I don't mean that like it was a good dream. I just mean that I was getting rested in that sleep. And so when I woke up from it, all I can remember is that there was something pink and it was after me. After me. And I was a child. And I didn't know what it was. I don't know. I mean, that's all I can remember. I was being chased by something pink. And whatever it was enough to make me not want anything to do with the color pink. Anything. When my oldest was a baby being, you know, they'll always be our babies, right? But when he was a baby of about, I don't know, 5, 6 years old, we would go to the store and the pink aisle is what we called it. You know, the one that has all of the Barbie dolls and like every box in that aisle was pink. It's not that bad the way it used to be, but like you could go down an aisle and it was definitely the aisle that they had targeted towards little girls. And we would go down that aisle and we'd be like, oh no, we're gonna turn pink. You gotta hold your breath, hold your breath. And so we would hold our breath throughout the whole aisle. And then we'd get out of it and we'd check each other to make sure nobody turned pink. And of course, I didn't really think that could happen. And at some point, I know my son knew that it couldn't happen either. But it was just a little fun game to play and we just kept doing it. We didn't want to go down the pink aisle. We didn't want to go down the pink aisle. And then my daughter came along. And guess what she wanted to do? If you guess she wanted to go down the pink aisle, you are absolutely right. We went down the pink aisle a lot with her. And not so that we could be like, oh no, the pink aisle is going to get us. Not for fun purposes. Sure, drop that right after you do all that trouble to clean it out. Get it to fit. Now, I'm thinking if I was to do this again, I would probably do the small sides or the inside parts first, and then come back around and do the bigger pieces. Those sides are really hard to get into when you're... I'm just giving everything a really good press down because I don't want anything sticking out to come up off on me. What do you think? My elastic box. We took that boring wood box and we turned it into this decorative, eye-catching, throw my elastics in there box. And I still have this much of that paper left. So I will save this for use in another project. I'm going to go ahead and put things away that I'm not using at the moment. And I can show you what I'm working on. So I went to the Dollar Tree and I bought these placemats. And the placemat came, so like here's a placemat that hasn't been taken apart. So I bought these placemats. They were $1.50. But if you look at them, they're actually 2 pieces of fabric that are sewn together. So I went through and I ripped out the seams. And that left me with 2 pieces of fabric. Now, I haven't quite decided what, if anything, I'm doing with these snowmen. But my mom really likes snowmen, so it might have something to do with her. The back portion, however, is not something that I need. And so those are being turned into trash can liners. And so this is the first one. I've already sewn it. And basically what you did is, this is what you call the pretty side, right? So I want that side to be the side that shows in the end. So I folded it in half so the pretty sides were touching, right? And then once I did that, I pinned it all up and then I sewed it. So I used white thread to make this easier to see, but I sewed it all along the side and the bottom. And then of course this side didn't need sewn because it's folded, and this side we don't want to sew because that's where the trash is going to go in at. Then when you turn this inside out, this isn't ready yet because I'm going to put a liner in it to make it more water resistant. But when you turn this inside out, you're going to put the lining, and then along with the lining, you'll put a piece of elastic to go in there. So when it's all said and done, you'll have this elastic that comes up and it hangs over your headrest of your car, and you've got a cute little trash bag that you can use. And with the lining being mostly water resistant, it will give you the ability to wipe it out if you need to. You can also do it where it's all fabric and it's not water resistant, and that gives you the ability to go ahead and throw it in the wash. Stay tuned. I will be right back. I actually have some that I have done that are made out of my favorite material currently. I'll be right back. So this is my craft room, and it is a organization disaster in progress. I have so many craft items. I do so many things. I make wreaths, I make jewelry, I sew, I bake, I cook. So many things that I do. But look at this, isn't this cute? This is a bag, it's a tote that was made out of dog food bags. And this entire bag, other than time and thread, cost me about 26 cents to make. The reason being, excuse me, it has a lining, but this lining is a recycled shirt. These handles are actually made out of the bag. And what I did was, if this was a strip of the bag, you fold the bag in half. Bag material is a lot harder to work with than you know, like cotton and linen and stuff like that. But once you figure out how to do it, you can make it work. So you fold it in half like that. And that gives you a nice looking seam on this side. But you want a good seam on the other side. So now you're gonna open it up and you fold it in half to the half line on both sides. So now it's basically folded in half, but your pieces are meeting in the center. See that? Like, see how they meet in the center? And then you're gonna fold that whole thing in half. And then that just gives you neat edges on both sides, and then you sew it. Well, however thick you want your strap to be, like these are 1-inch straps. So I started this out with a 4-inch piece of fabric or bag. So 4 inches, when I folded it in half, it made 2 inches. I folded each end in, and then I folded that in half again, and now I have that 1-inch strap. And that's a nice sturdy strap. The lining also gave me the ability to provide this bag with pockets. And these pockets are just made out of his shirt as well. The only thing that I added to this project besides the shirt and the bag, those two recycled materials, is I put some interfacing just to provide a little bit more stability. And you can catch that on one of my videos where I'm making something like this. So what we were gonna show those trash bags that I was making. And so this one here was made out of goat feed bag. It's got this pretty green and black color to it. It's got some writing on it, not a whole lot. And I'm just gonna pull out the lining so you can see what that looks like. But this is the lining. And the lining was made out of Timothy hay pellets, which is a nice water-resistant bag because you don't want your pet food to get wet, right? So they use stuff that's going to keep that food dry, even in transport, and sometimes stuff gets stored outside. But you see there's a beautiful little horse on this on the outside. And so I could have did it where the horse was the outside and I could have stuck the other side in. But when I was making this, I wanted to make a set of green bags because that is my son's favorite color. And I thought maybe he might like to have, look at the goat. I thought he might like to have some of this stuff for his car. And then you've got your over the headrest, not your head, but over the headrest. But look at that. Now I got a drill bag. Oh, who thought of it? You're sick on the plane. Just kidding. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you come back. Please like, follow, subscribe, tell your friends, and come catch me some other time.